はい、皆さん今日もですね、ケニーの時事英語筋トレの時間がやってまいりました。今まではですね、英語筋トレという名前だったんですけど、今日からですね、時事英語筋トレというふうに、このブログのテーマを改めました。はい、このブログの目的はですね、皆さんにどのようにしたらですね、毎日飽きずにですね、しかも必ず伸びていくということを実感しながら英語を勉強できるかということをですね、皆さんと一緒に追求していきたいという、そういったブログです。で、私が提案している方法としましてはですね、時事英語ですね、英語のニュースを毎日1個選んでいただいて、それをですね、自分の言葉でサマリーをして、さらに自分の意見を言うという方法が一番飽きが来ない、しかも一番身につく方法であるということをお伝えしています。どうしてでしょうか。なぜならばですね、その英語のニュースというのは毎日毎日変わるからですね。しかも英語のニュースというのは毎日世界で起きているドラマを使ってですね、それを報道してくるものですから、皆さんがそれをですね、自分の言葉でサマリーをして、しかも自分の意見を言えばですね、ニュースがただ受け身で読むということだけではなくて、積極的に関わることになりますから、自分のものになるという考え方なんですね。で、その方法としましてはですね、このTESO というフォーマットを使って皆さんに練習をしていただきたいというふうに思っています。まずタイトルですね。タイトルは何かということをおっしゃっていただいて、その後エグゼクティブサマリーをします。そのやり方はですね、この CREC というフォーマットを使うんですね。まず C はコンクルージョンですね。あるいはコンクルーシブアサーション。主張は何か、一言で言うと何かということですね。その後そういうふうに言っている理由は何かということを短くおっしゃっていただいて、その内容をエクスプレインしていただいてですね、そしてまたコンクルージョンに戻ってくるという CREC というフォーマットです。それからもう一つはですね、その significance という言葉をね、自分の言葉で言ってみていただきたいんですね。significance というのは、その記事の持っている意味ですね。重要な意味付けは何かということです。これはその記事をちょっと上の方から見下ろすような感じですよね。はい、そういう部分がS です。significance ですね。そして最後は自分の具体的な意見をorlというフォーマットで言っていただきたいんです。オピニオンですね。I believe とかね、I think で始まって結論を言う。それからリーズンを言っていただいて、そのリーズンを具体的に説明して、そしてまたオピニオンに戻ってくる。orlというフォーマットですね。このフォーマットでやっていただきたいと思っています。で、今回もいつもそうですけれども、私がまずこれをデモしたいと思うんですね。はい、今日の記事はですね、ジャパンタイムズからの記事なんですね。じゃあ、ここからじゃあ英語でやらせていただきたいと思いますね。Okay, ladies and gentlemen, today's topic, the title is Japan to be tested as a non-permanent UN Security Council member. Japan to be tested as a non-permanent UN Security Council member. Okay, so let me give you executive summary. Japan now has a big role this year and next year. Japan was chosen as the leader of the non-permanent UN Security Council member. And the executive's conclusive assertion is Japan is going to face a daunting role to be successful as the leader of the non-permanent UN Security Council member. Why? There are two big challenges this article talks about. Number one is a very short-term challenge, and the second one is a long-term challenge. In terms of the short-term challenge, Japan is going to face the UN Council, which is divided very severely, right? As when the UN and Russia and Ukraine war started, the UN has been trying to pass the legislation which will stop Russia in its invasion into Ukraine. But each time legislation was suggested, Russia used the vetoing power to negate that proposal. So nothing has been basically done. Nothing has been decided. And China is supporting Russia. So basically, the permanent member council is divided into two groups. One of them is the United States, Britain, and France. Those liberal democracy countries, and the other is the autocratic countries like Russia and China. And Japan has to intervene. Those two divisions. Japan has to play a role as an intermediator so that they can make some kind of consensus in the future. But which is very, very obviously very daunting task. Another short-term challenge is North Korea. North Korea is shooting missiles almost every week, intercontinental ballistic missile, which fall into the Japan Sea. Japan has to be able to play a role to make North Korea stop doing that, right? So that's a short-term challenge. The next challenge is a long-term challenge. That is Japan has to be effective leading the long-term reform of the UN. UN is not functioning at all. It's really dysfunction, as we have seen since the war started. Nothing has been done, nothing has been clearly decided, and the UN doesn't have any consensus, right? And because, why it's happening? Because UN is a kind of older organization. UN has been decided, organization has been decided right after the World War II, which is more than 70 years ago. And since World War II, the situation has changed completely. Back then, Russia, Soviet Union was a very powerful country, but the Soviet Union is now a very economically very weak country. Russia's GDP is only 7% of the United States. Now, China used to be a very poor country, but China has been rising a lot. Japan has become very rich and wealthy country, peace-loving countries. So compared with when UN was organized, situation is completely different. So Japan has to do something as a leader to make a new reform happening. So that's also a very, very big challenge. That's why the conclusive assertion of this article is Japan is facing a daunting task as a UN non-permanent UN Security Council member. So that's the executive summary, okay? So what is the significance of this article? I think this is a very, very significant article because it talks about Japan's role. By the way, do you think Japan is exerting big influence in the world politics, geopolitical situations? Unfortunately not. Unfortunately no. Japan is a very powerful country economically, but in terms of the, influencing the geopolitical situations, taking a leader as a peace-loving, as a nation, Japan doesn't seem to have a very strong assertion, strong influence. So this year, next year, Japan being as a leader of the non-permanent UN Security Council member, it's a make or break. Japan can increase its presence, or Japan will disappoint many other nations again. So that's why this is so significant. Now, let me tell you my opinion. I believe Japan has a great chance this year to be influential in the international promotion of the international peace. Why? Because number one is obviously Japan's role as a leader of the non-permanent UN Security Council members. Japan can do so many things. Number two is this year, the G7 meeting will be held in the Hiroshima, that is the hometown of Mr. Kishida. And Mr. Kishida is going to take a big role, facilitating that meeting. And so the reason why I'm saying Japan has a big chance is Japan should make more clearer statement promoting a world peace. Japan is known as a peace-loving nation, but nothing more than that. Japan should make more proactive effort, proactive action, proactive statement, really appealing to the whole world the importance of the peace, and especially uselessness of the using nuclear attack. During the meeting, G7 meeting, Mr. Kishida should make a clear statement, very strong statement, telling the whole world as a victim of the nuclear attack, war is not gonna be a solution. War is not gonna make any winners. War makes only losers. This is what we are observing right now between the war between Russia and the Ukraine. So that's something Japan can do to increase Japan's influence as a world leader of the peace-loving nations. So that's my opinion. Thank you very much. はい、こんな感じで今日はまとめさせていただきました。皆さんのご意見はどうでしょうか？ So, see you in the next ケニーの時事英語筋トレ。Until then, bye!